So there's a report that just came out today that OpenAI seems to be working on some integration with Apple Health. I read this and I knew immediately I wanted to sit down and just do a brainstorm, just talk about just anything on this topic. They found some code, they found the icon of Apple Health in the code, and now they're saying that they should be coming in and they should be able to connect to Apple Health app, so all the data. And they're saying that this image, looking at the image, you should be able to tap into several Apple Health categories related to your activity, sleep, diet, breathing, and hearing. Now, no one really knows if this is happening. This is just a rumor. But I do want to, I don't know, comment on it, just play around with my thoughts on it. I like it, but I think it's also going the wrong way. I think it's a big help. What do I like about it? And then we'll go into why do I think it's the wrong way. Being able to have access to all this data should be able to make some very interesting chats, or giving this data to ChatGPT is the wrong way, but being able to have access to that data with an LLM that can browse through it, understand it, and then give you suggestions is super interesting, super helpful. But it's going the wrong way because I don't want ChatGPT to either own my data or have access to my data. I would rather have a very powerful LLM that's able to read, understand my data, and sitting on my phone. Really, what we're all asking for is just a much smarter Siri 2.0, Siri GPT, whatever you want to call it. One that actually has access to your data, to your metrics, to everything that's going on with you, but on device. Privacy, all your data in one place without sending it over to the cloud, without having privacy, without that private biometrics, health data, and also your regular data is very, very important. And I personally do not want to see that going to the big dogs. I don't want that on the cloud. Things can be done with it. I would much prefer it being on device, guarded, and stays on device, and a small LLM that is designed to be on a very small device, a reasoning LLM that just has access to this data and can access it when it needs to. We're moving this direction. I think a few months ago when ChatGPT released their OSS models, which are supposed to be the on-device, smaller models that can be on-device, they had a 20 billion parameter and a 120 billion, I believe. These are still a little bit too powerful. I think they required 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now, they needed that RAM towards the LLM. Most devices, if you're not using the new Mac Silicons, will have RAM that you could have access, but the operating system is still using it. So the amount of VRAM that you can actually have access, usually if you've got a 16 gigabyte device, you're not actually able to access that and the model won't load. But also as well on a Mac, if you have a 16 gigabyte device, yes, it is shared, and you don't have to have a specific VRAM to have access to. The RAM is shared by all system resources, but that also is the issue because 16 gigabytes, you actually have some taken up by the operating system and other various things. So your whole computer crawls to a halt while trying to run it. So the smallest models, you're not going to run very well on a 16 gigabyte. You need at least a 24. That's becoming the base model. So you have two directions. Either you buy devices that have bigger RAM, your phones, most of them, the Apple ones are not up to 24. Or you have these models, these reasoning models get smaller and smaller and work just off the data when they need them and stay on device. That is what I think we're all looking for. That's definitely what I'm looking forward to. They say that should be coming out. I think no one in the Apple ecosystem has high hopes for it because they've been promising it for a while. Apple Intelligence, their version of AI was a big promise and a big letdown. But for those of us who are optimists, we're hoping that something's cooking in the back end, that we will soon have access to models that are on par with these big cloud models, but running on device, running locally. and work at reasoning models. So very, very small models, but that don't need the whole breadth, don't need a massive database. They just need to be able to tap into the data when you need. And the model itself can be very, very small. Once this happens, it's going to be phenomenal. So once you have health metrics, like I'm waiting for that day where I can, yes, have conversations, but also get proper suggestions, proper trends, proper information that's coming out of like important things. I'll go to the health assistant in a second. That came on the Apple Watch, but access to this kind of data, I would love to be soon getting helpful notifications, alerts, whatever you want, that tells me about my sleep, but like is properly getting the tracking and making trends properly, but then also associating that with my food. I mean, that's a thing that we haven't tracked yet. We've got the the ability to do it, but the apps, at least the ones that I've used, there are some AI ones that you should be able to snap a picture of it and get pretty good idea of the calories and things like that. But how many people want to do that? Obviously, that'll be easy with augmented reality glasses, but that to me is just a level too much that I'm not willing to go and take care of. But it would be really cool if that data was there. That could be helpful. What I'm looking for is being able to say something like, and this is going to touch a little bit upon on that health coach, um, because this is where that excitement could be. But again, there are actually rumors. I don't have it right now. You know what? Maybe I might be able to find it very quickly. I think there was rumors of a HealthPlus app or subscription. Okay, here we go. There's one that they're saying that they're launching next year. Now it's going to be a service, a subscription, which I'm not a fan of. If my data is on device and you're running on an LLM that's on device, why am I paying for a subscription for this? I understand there's people out there that will do it. I just hope that this is not these AI health codes that can give. So here it's saying that the rumors are that it'll offer nutrition planning and medical suggestions. I'm more than happy for a very smart Siri to have access to this. Not keen on a service, on another service to pay for. But that would be very interesting. And I'm looking for things that like my AI coach. I don't like, okay, it's neat to hear about like how many steps you've racked up for the month or for the year or where you're up to in the run. But I really want to take it up that next notch. I want to be able to say, hey, I'm planning for a marathon. It's in, X amount of weeks. What do I have to do to get there? You've got these kind of services that work on Garmin, and you have people that have pulled in their metrics and put it into an LLM and gotten some decent plans. Why can't that be on device? I've got a lot more data than instead of exporting and dealing with all these different things, it's on device. Give me a coach. Give me someone that's actually helpful. Like you can get rid of the Nike Plus app. I used to use that for like running. I like, you've got everything here. I would love to be able to say something like, hey, I haven't run in a while, or the system sees that already. Be like, I need to get back to the 5K, or I want to do a sub 20-minute 5K. You know, I would love to get metrics that are like focused on me. Like you can read my VO2 max, you can read my strides, you can read my runs that I've been dealing with, how good I've been. Also, when you connect how I'm logging, how I'm feeling, and also connecting the journal, all these things really being tied in together, where you've got all the data on device, or some of the data being on iCloud. But yes, I would love all data to be on device with just the backups. And then you have a reasoning LLM, a very small model that's on top of it, that's able to have access to this and actually give me not just like cute trends in a nice graph, which are nice, but I want to be able to like specifically go into it. Like, hey, I want to start running this, or I want a full-on coach. Give me something for the next week or for the next month. What I did is I have a building gym, and I went and listed out every single piece of equipment that I have there. And then I said, okay, make me um, give me something for the next month. Being able to store that piece of information somewhere that it's sitting there and not just on a chat that can be overridden. But then working with my sleep data and my, all the data that the Apple Watch can give you, and be able to say, hey, I want to start training BJJ, or I want to run a marathon, or I want to just get in shape, or I want to have this kind of body, or I want to be able to improve these. With this access to metrics, that's where I would love my coaches to be, and not some sort of service that I have to add on something, because the data's mine. I own the data. The AI, the reasoning AI, it should be on device. But that's what I'm interested in looking for. Not that it goes to ChatGPT, but it uses the data on my device. I'll see you in the future.